The great sardonic baseball player Yogi Berra once said, "If you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else." In this light, the best point of departure for any serious discussion about convening another General Assembly special session on disarmament is to recall that the UN's ultimate goal in this field is general and complete disarmament under effective international control, or GCD. This has been on the General Assembly's agenda since 1959 and has been the world's central disarmament goal since SSOD-1 in 1978, a goal also found in a dozen multilateral treaties, including the NPT. Yet we all know that GCD has become, as Hamlet would say, more honored in the breach than in the observance. It remains on the agenda of the General Assembly's First Committee, and the Conference on Disarmament continues its unsuccessful efforts to develop a, quote, comprehensive program on disarmament, unquote. Over the last 6 decades, however, the international community has permitted its pursuit of GCD to be eclipsed by what states call partial measures, a hodgepodge of issue-specific initiatives that annually appear to have less and less in common with the original GCD goal. As a result, we have seen the following dubious triumphs: the particular over the general, ad hoc improvisations over any general plan of action, and feckless pragmatism over commitments to act on commonly agreed principles. Making matters worse, some states have cynically used GCD as a rhetorical stratagem to account for the lack of progress in disarmament, especially nuclear disarmament. We hear, for example, that peace and international security in all its aspects are prerequisites for disarmament. Such states have regularly failed to acknowledge how disarmament itself works to strengthen peace and security, a point repeatedly made by Dag Hammarskjöld almost 70 years ago. Thus, we continue to find too many countries seeking security through such dangerous and unsustainable means as expanding military expenditures, growing reliance on nuclear deterrence, modernization of nuclear arsenals and their delivery systems, threats and use of force, and most telling of all, the total absence of any reflection of solemn international disarmament aims in domestic laws, policies, directives, budgets, timetables, party priorities, and organizational structures. Small wonder that our vessel here has failed to reach its destination, given its tattered sail and lack of a wheel, compass, fuel, and anchor. Altogether, this is hardly a favorable environment for pursuing GCD. Yet there are 2 countervailing processes underway that offer some brighter prospects for future progress. As I have written elsewhere, both democracy and the rule of law are coming to disarmament. The evidence for democracy in disarmament is apparent on 3 levels. First, multilateral disarmament arenas, especially in the UN, offer an opportunity for all countries, including small and medium states, an opportunity to join in deliberating global disarmament initiatives. Second, coalitions of like-minded states have arisen in these arenas to advance such goals, which embody norms that are intended to apply universally. Third, the same arenas have been gradually opening their doors to participation by diverse, cross-cutting sectors of civil society, as noted earlier in this conference. Together, these forces can help to educate the public about the concrete benefits of disarmament and the risks of failing to pursue it. This is the democratic jolt that's needed to revitalize the global disarmament process. The advantage of working in multilateral arenas on GCD is precisely because it is by far the best means available to refute the common criticisms of disarmament, especially nuclear disarmament, namely that it is too utopian, impractical, dangerous, in inspiring conventional wars and arms races and other such allegations. The great value added by GCD is in demonstrating the indisputable synergy between WMD disarmament, conventional arms control, reductions in military spending, limits on the arms trade, and strengthening the means to enforce the Charter's positive obligation to resolve disputes peacefully and its prohibition against threats and use of force. Thus, GCD offers a fitting response to why nuclear disarmament will not lead to a new era of conventional wars. because the risks and consequences of such wars will be addressed simultaneously as nuclear disarmament proceeds. And as democratic pressures grow to achieve disarmament goals, so too will the demand for binding legal commitments, hence the rule of law and disarmament. The agenda here for future work is robust. The CTBT has not yet entered into force, and a fissile material treaty has not even been negotiated. Following the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the future of US-Russian strategic nuclear arms control remains uncertain at best, at worst, bleak. The nuclear powers and their allies continue to oppose the TPNW ban treaty, and even the start of disarmament negotiations, long required by the NPT. Meanwhile, there are no multilateral treaties governing nuclear weapon delivery systems, no prohibitions on development of space weapons, no ban on strategic missile defenses, and few global norms governing the production, stockpiling, development, and export of conventional arms. One way to address these challenges would be to convene an SSOD4, which would serve to reaffirm strongly the fundamental principles adopted at SSOD1, including disarmament's ultimate goal. It would enable states to demonstrate that conventional arms control and nuclear disarmament are mutually reinforcing processes. It would help to advance both democracy and the rule of law in disarmament. It would enable the world community to update some of the 1978 standards to reflect new challenges that have since arisen, including in space, artificial intelligence, cyber warfare, conventional weapons that have potential strategic capabilities in terms of their lethality, accuracy, and range. It is true that the General Assembly's first committee could do more to focus on the process of integrating the various threads of GCD into a coherent general plan of action. Similarly, the CD in Geneva will likely continue its efforts to develop a comprehensive program on disarmament as mandated by the General Assembly. Yet the main argument for SSOD4 is that it offers a greater likelihood of producing a unified, comprehensive vision of disarmament in all its aspects. The regular deliberations of the General Assembly have broken down into a multitude of issue-specific initiatives that scarcely reflect any appreciation for the implications of initiatives in other fields, or indeed the relevance of these partial measures for achieving the UN's comprehensive disarmament objective. So there is a strong argument for proceeding with an SSOD4. It need not be viewed as any panacea to overcome deeply embedded obstacles to disarmament, and it surely should not be viewed as the last SSOD ever. In the years ahead, there may well be not just another SSOD, but several, as the world refines its efforts to pull together the various threads of disarmament, arms control, and nonproliferation into a coherent whole that best expresses the common interests in peace and security, the primary goals of the Charter. The final product of SSOD4 could be a detailed outline for a future GCD treaty, along with an agreement on provisions for its negotiation. Or it could develop and promote what former Secretary General Ban Ki-moon called a framework of separate, mutually reinforcing instruments that would together achieve the same ultimate goal. Now, in conclusion, regardless of the particular outcome, if the world does not work together to advance this great common objective, we will end up someplace else, facing either the loathsome status quo or worse, a nightmare beyond imagination. The alternative is to refocus on GCD, and SSOD4 offers the potential not just to deliberate this ultimate goal, but to get on with the work of achieving it. Thank you very much.